Recruiting courage. Year 765 Hippocampus Rush. Rhea is still with his boatswain and swashbuckler. Those three are having a conversation, Rhea now engaging in it without looking for a way to escape. They trust her. Gerald is still whining about something. Sid is patting the whining swashbuckler on the shoulder. Rhea looks more unsure of the positive attention. Living in hiding can do that to someone. Connor inserts himself in this trio. Immediately the whining tapers down from Gerald, and Sid's grin grew to his ears. Good to see your captain. Connor nods to Sid, then memories of Gerald's obnoxiousness fill his mind. It is time to lay out his punishment for the disgruntled father of six. Make yourself useful and dust off the cannons. Aye, Captain. Maybe the lass might rather have our company than some scary capt. Gerald's sarcastic comment earns him a fiercer snarl from Connor. The swashbuckler guides the half-giant away. Ya heard him. Aye. You think Iggy would let me pick up some cannons for exercisin'? Doubt it, big guy. Connor shakes his head, slightly surprised that he had survived their antics for this long. This is exactly why he had to be certain that the next steps won't just end with him with a bigger migraine. Mister, was there anything else you needed from me? Rhea moves into his line of sight, her radiance hard to ignore even if he tried. The concerning points of her features are the bruising around her bottom lip, from fighting with one of the goons, the straw-infused curls, the bloodied clothes, and the thinness of her frame. These trigger something in him. That something in him shakes in her presence, almost breaking every one of his mental rules for himself. This captain lives and breathes in the lifestyle of his master before him. A master alchemist, independent from people in general, chose to train Connor on one faithful day. His master's name was Roland. Those trained under him refer to him as master, while everyone else will call him captain. Master Roland lived a rather secular life, never took on a partner, and only ever had a cupped handful worth of individuals that he deemed trustworthy. Connor is no different, and he had every intention of staying that way, content to have Gash or Ruffin being the closest people in his life. Yet, he wavers at the sight of her. She had this face shape and eyebrow set, like someone he recalls, someone he regrets remembering. The memory of such a person hurts just as deeply as the death of his master. The thought of this individual brought on not just memories he wishes to squash, but the trauma. It had made him weak, even when he should be the one to stay composed, as he waves an opportunity in her face just out of reach. No such thing happens. The captain can't bring himself to play difficult for much longer. Nothing. You have done more than enough. Connor lightens his tone of voice, just so she can pick up the hints that he is grateful for her aid, even though there are times of frustration. Scratch that. The whole experience was frustrating. Oh, good, well. She angles her body to leave with that big grin that stretches that small bruise on her bottom lip. I want to check the orphanage before I leave this town. There is the thick sadness that she fails to hide beneath her mask. It slips into her voice like deep globs of ink, staining each syllable. Damn it, allow me to accompany you. After all, you can't just walk around freely with no escorts. Connor wants nothing more than to keelhaul himself for getting involved. Even worse is that the excuse he finds in his skull barely holds much weight for someone that can climb as if it is breathing. There will be no chimera knights to bother her either. This is the perfect condition for her to walk around freely. The upturn of her nose to the raising brow suggests she is thinking the same thing. Thank the God she isn't petty enough to point it out. An indicator that something must be bothering her. Mister, I do not want to keep you away from your people much longer. Connor held her gaze, letting his expression show that he didn't have the space to change his mind. A sigh of defeat escapes her. Fine, one last time. Connor opens his mouth to try to correct her, but instead he will save it for later. There will be time to, even though the woman had her mind set to leave them all. There is some excitement from his crew seeing him leave with a strange crackswoman, all of them hooting either "Don't keep us waitin'" or "Come back and have some ale with us." Some even holler some obscene things. It is exceedingly rare for Connor to strongly associate himself with a woman, and they gladly shout it out like a bunch of wild animals. He will remember their faces for causing such a ruckus, and task them with the worst chores. They shouldn't have that much energy after dominating the Renuo gang. Rhea didn't hear any of it, or chose to ignore it. Her gaze is just ahead of them, as they follow the beaten path back to the orphanage. They travel in complete silence, taking in the damage to the city. Sometimes they find a dead local, executed either by a bullet behind their heads or slashed at their throats. Each one they do see is a rare occurrence. However, Rhea tenses her shoulders, and her fists are tighter with each one they pass by. There are no words of reassurance he can find in his library of mental dialogue. It is rare for him to have the urge to, before this. Sympathy towards people didn't come so easily for him when he isn't great at noticing the good in people. Even now, he still held suspicion towards Rhea, suspecting her reaction is a farce, even after all they had been through. They only knew each other for a day at best. He can't completely expect that she is free from ill intent. There is yet so much hidden in that shell of hers. Connor is just a fool to be intrigued by the mystery. What are you hiding? That is a question he kept in his mind. With enough patience, he will find the answer. There is no way to tell that Rhea won't just withhold that information from him. It is highly likely if he interrogates her now, she will leave his sight, and he can't allow that. It meant failing. So he kept his silence. The streets open to a section of town that is poorer than even the market center. The cubed shape of these buildings gave away where they are at. In no time, Kamuk's effigy on a building is just at the corner of his eye. Rhea bounds forward, something catching her attention. She kneels over a red-stained part of the ground with wheel tracks trailing away. The orphanage had been ransacked by the appearance alone. The door is hanging by one door hinge, the flower pots tossed on the ground, and they even tried to set it on fire, but failed. The burnt sticks from torches are near the building. Connor investigates the red stain on the ground. Clearly it is blood, but no sign of a corpse anywhere. The captain wants to say it can be anyone's blood, but Rhea's expression turns into the opposite of distress, which stops him. The rage glitters in her eyes, kept him from saying anything. The determination got her to roll onto her heels and march right inside, smacking the door off the hinges. There really is no pause in her step, ignoring every little concerning detail of the house. He, of course, foolishly follows her in, seeing every cracked dish on the ground and every piece of furniture upturned. Nothing was spared. It looks just like a monsoon born from the rage of Kamuk passed over and left behind only destruction. Even the children's toys were ripped to shreds, hay stuffing everywhere. Rhea ignores it all, rushing over to the stairs in another room to the hatch and climbing right up. He can hear her footfalls and the slam of her pushing the hatch open. Connor didn't follow this time, finding a drawing on the ground. It's a simple drawing of everyone that lived in this house, so simple it is hard to tell the shapes of the people except for the clothes. The vicar, Grace, the 10 children, Ranko, and lastly, Rhea. Connor picks it up, scanning each section of this very crude drawing. The paper is aged before its use with plenty of bumps on it, but the drawing is fresh. There is no sign as to why he flips it, lucky to find something written on the back. It was addressed to. Connor charges over to the next room, finding the steps to the open hatch. He climbs up it, keeping in mind his head on the low ceiling with the drawing rolled up in his hand. The man is going against his rules again. You're getting too involved. Connor still believes it, but that tone in Rhea's voice earlier made him make some exceptions. Now his visage fills with that woman peering down on a spot on the ground on this roof. She didn't move even when he got close. They took it. Good. Rhea mumbles so quietly it may have just been a verification to herself, yet her fists clenched tight beside her hips to fight the tremble in her frame. Took what? Connor carefully threads the roof floor, expecting all the possibilities, then too foolish to listen to his own warnings. What is wrong with me? The woman winces at his pressing. You took the gang's valuables and stashed them here. The corner of his mouth twitches to criticize. The gods must have compelled him to keep silent. Instead, he shakes the drawing in her line of sight, waking her from whatever sulking she is doing. That is, she lost her manners entirely, ripping the page out of his hand to inspect the drawing, then the words behind it. The tenseness in her body weakens. Globs of tears sporadically spill out of her eyes as they stand there for her to read it. The woman's bruised lip curls into a smile, confusing the pirate captain. Connor won't know the first thing about consoling someone. Seeing the smile despite the tears really didn't help, and now he is questioning her mental fortitude. The vicar wrote this. Thank the gods, it is only that. She is very volatile with her emotions. Connor nods to confirm it, watching her tears wash away the dirt on her face. Ha, I am happy that they got out. Rhea turns towards the edge of the roof, Something in her aura changes to hint at more things that she battles within herself. The way she presses the piece of paper against her banded chest gave it away. I must keep moving. Where are you going? Connor asks out of nowhere, like the words didn't belong to him. At least he wants to believe so. Connor knew the answer right away. I will do what I have always done, walked in a general direction. Rhea's honesty stings to hear. He lives with the motto of always having a plan before acting. While this woman is an antagonist of such practices, she has no plan. Captain Connor swaps away the agitation with something that made more sense to the situation, keeping his tone of business. Especially when he now had to convince her, because if he failed, she had nowhere else to go. There is another option. What do you mean? Rhea slowly blinks with those long, tear-glistened eyelashes, wiping her wet face with the back of her hand. Suspicion colors her voice, expecting nothing out of this conversation by the slackened posturing. Tell me, have you ever traveled outside of Uventland? Connor's question meant no ill will. The woman still winces at it anyway. No. I was promised to be shipped away as a slave. That is why never mind. I do not understand why you waste Manok's light over this, mister. Rhea shakes her head, from meek to agitated right away. Something about ships triggers this female. It made perfect sense for a chained Krax to fear ships. It made even more sense why she didn't go up on his. Tonight, he will change that. I can tell that you are hiding something. It isn't important for you to share it now, though understand that you will take responsibility for my curiosity from here on out. Rhea braces herself, eyes wild with the fire of her annoyance, glittering just like the two moons on the crossing solstice. I will never agree to that. No, I don't think you should. I can't ignore you either. For you have the skills fitting the sea, in addition to a tenacious attitude needed in a crew. So my proposition, his blunt statements help keep this fidgety woman in place, since he truly had no ill ulterior motives. Though he can tell she is on edge, the color of all her emotions pools into the silver of her reddened eyes, and the furrowing of her brow shapes her forehead. This woman's life before is nothing but being on the run from her chains. A Moaran man coming up to her for a vague proposition must have stirred her flight instincts. Can you just tell me already? Rhea shows her hatred for suspense, crunching the paper in her hand. Join my crew. He lays it out thick in the air. This woman can only gape at Connor like he had just grown 3 heads.